In this video, I'm going to be explaining how to finally get lean, even if you've tried hundreds of times before and you're still not getting the results you want. So when I first started out in the gym, I was skinny fat and basically I went straight into a bulk and got way too fat. And obviously, I never really liked the way I looked until I actually tried cutting for the first time. And once I got a little taste of that, I really wanted to get as lean as possible. So again, I went back into a bulk and kept trying to cut and cut and cut. And every time I tried to cut, I never got the result I wanted. I just ended up feeling small, not enough muscle, and I didn't get that chiseled 10% body fat look that I always wanted. So again, in this video, I'm going to be explaining exactly what I did and what you can do in order to actually get lean for the first time. Now, the first thing you need to do, obviously, is find out what your maintenance calories is. I found that when I first started, I would look up these TDEE and BMR calculators online to try to find my maintenance. I honestly found a lot of them were pretty misleading. So on these calculators, it asks you how much physical activity you're doing in order to try to estimate how many calories you're burning per day. And I found that it honestly overestimates how many calories you burn in the day, compared to my genetics at least. And every time I would go into a bulk, I would be eating way too much and putting on way too much fat. And when I would cut, I wouldn't be in a big enough deficit to actually lose enough weight. So when I would go into a cut with these higher calories and I wasn't losing enough weight, I would think I would need to make dramatic changes. So I would start lowering my calories like crazy every week. And then I would get to a point where I was basically eating nothing, starving myself, and then I would rebound. So it's really important to actually find what your maintenance is. So I recommend going on a 2-week period where you actually try to find your maintenance. And a good starting point that I've found is actually multiplying your body weight by 15. And if you're anything like me, where you were skinny fat before, I honestly think for the average male, that's a really good calculation to go by. So for me, I'm 5'9", I'm 160 pounds. If I wanted to eat at maintenance right now, it would be 2,400 calories. And that might seem like a really low amount of calories for a lot of people, but this is just the reality of how many calories you should actually be eating. If you think that's difficult, then you're probably overeating right now, and it's probably the reason you don't look good. So try just eating at maintenance for the beginning and see how that feels. Obviously, watch your body weight, see by the end of the 2 weeks what happens. If the weight goes up, you might be eating a little bit too much. If it goes down, you might be not eating enough. But this is a really important phase before you actually go into a deficit to determine actually what your maintenance is and see if you're going to be in the proper deficit in order to make progress long term. Now, the second tip I'm going to be giving you in order to finally get lean is to fast in the morning. And I'm telling you right now, the second I implemented this into my routine, it changed everything in terms of being in a deficit. So I used to wake up in the morning when I was out of shape and I would just eat like a bowl of cereal and a bunch of just junk in the morning. Now, the problem with eating early in the morning is that when you break your fast really early, it makes it a lot more difficult to continue not to eat until later on in the day. So let's say I woke up at like 8 a.m. and I ate like a bowl of cereal back in the day. I would be hungry by like 10:30 already. Before even lunch, I would be hungry again. And as I've gotten more experienced, I've realized that when I start eating, especially if I'm in a deficit and I'm hungry, if I eat something, it honestly like turns on my hunger in my body. And if I eat something, I want to eat more and more and more. But when I'm not eating anything, it makes it easier to not eat anything. So this might be hard to understand because I'm kind of explaining it like shit, but basically momentum, it matters a lot. So when you wake up in the morning and you haven't had anything all night, obviously, if you just push that as far back as you can to afternoon 1-ish, maybe you have a coffee, drink a bunch of water, kind of make your stomach feel a little full. It's so much easier to do that than to eat in the morning and then try to fast after. And that's the key. If you don't eat anything in the morning, you're pushing back your eating window, and that makes your eating window shorter in the end of the day so that you can eat bigger meals in shorter intervals, and it makes you feel more full, and especially before bed when I usually got all my cravings, and I know a lot of people get cravings at night too. So this is like a cheat code. If you're really struggling with meal timing and feeling hunger cravings all day long, try your best to fast in the morning. I really recommend drinking coffee or something that kind of suppresses your appetite throughout the day that doesn't have calories. And then in the afternoon, you can start eating your bigger meals and you'll feel way more full at the end of the day, and you'll actually be able to sleep better as well. When your eating window is way bigger throughout the day, so if you start really early and you're eating throughout the day, it's much, much, much harder to eat in your calorie range because there's all that extra time that now you are thinking about food and you're allowing yourself to eat, right? So this is something I implemented that instantly helped me, and just start doing it if you're having a hard time with cravings and hunger. And guys, if you want to know exactly how I diet and how I got lean for the first time, I made you guys my free shred maxing protocol. It's the first link in the description, and it's really going to explain exactly what I do in order to create a sustainable calorie deficit and make a diet that I can actually stick to long term. Again, it's the first thing in the description. Check it out, it's really going to help you. Now, my next point that I mention all the time, it's because it's so important, is you need to prioritize choosing foods that you actually enjoy eating over foods that are quote unquote healthier. And when I first started cutting and trying to get lean in the gym, I was choosing foods that were quote unquote healthy, like chicken breast and sweet potatoes, stuff like that, that I actually didn't really enjoy eating or preparing that much. And the problem with this is that I would hate eating those meals and I would hate preparing them so much that I would honestly just skip the meal completely, and sometimes I would cheat on my diet. And clearly there's something bad with your diet if you're completely avoiding a meal that you've spent the time preparing, because that takes a lot of work, and if you're still not willing to eat it, then obviously you shouldn't have that in your diet because you don't like it. Something I like to say is the best diet for you is something that I've heard and that I say all the time is that the best diet for you is the diet that you can actually stick to. And that's super true, because your diet can be perfect in terms of being the healthiest diet ever, but if you can't stick to it and you're constantly cheating or whatnot, it's not a good diet. Like, I don't care what you say. It's like the saying, good advice not followed is bad advice. It's the same exact thing. You need to be able to stick to what you're actually doing in order to get the results. And if you're choosing a diet that has worked for a ton of people and that's quote unquote like perfect, and you don't make progress on it because you hate it and you don't stick to it, then is it the perfect diet? No, it's not for you. So you need to find a diet that works for you and that you actually can stick to, because that's what's going to get you the results you want. Now, obviously, being healthy and eating healthy food is important, especially for your health, but you can do that later on when you actually start sticking to your diet and being consistent. But in the meantime, when you're trying to start a new diet or get lean for the first time, it's way more important to find something that you actually enjoy and that you actually can stick to. Now, another thing I want to talk about is in terms of tracking, because a lot of people, when they're starting a diet and when they're trying to get lean, one of the things they really dread is tracking their calories. And people are so scared of tracking because it's such a hassle. And I agree. When I first started, I thought the only way to get lean was to use MyFitnessPal, which is a calorie tracking app, and put all the food I was eating every day into that app. And I was eating a bunch of random shit at the time and just trying not to go over my calories. And while you can technically do that, I hate that method, and I think that most people hate that method of tracking everything every single day. You can't live a normal life doing that, in my opinion. So the way I rather do it is for me, I planned out my meal that I eat every day. So I eat the same thing every day, and I have a bunch of different meals and I prepare them ahead of time. And when I need to eat them, I just weigh them out how I have them on my plan. So all I had to do was track everything one time, cook everything once per week, and I have everything done for the week. So it takes way less thinking. All I have to do is just weigh out my meal. And by now I know the weights by heart, so it's not difficult. And it makes it way easier to stick to for me. And again, this is for me. You need to find what works best for you, but this is what I recommend because I think it's easier for most people. Now, another beneficial thing you can do in terms of your food choices is pick foods that are easy to track. So things like whole foods that you can just count. So like 1 banana, 3 eggs, anything like that, that you don't have to actually necessarily weigh. You could just say, I ate 1 or 2 or 3 of those. So you can just look up the calories and macros one time, and every time you eat that, you know exactly what you're consuming. And this also helps you in the long run, because you don't always want to be looking up how many calories are in things. At some point, you just want to be able to kind of look at a meal and understand what you're going to be consuming, because that's what actually separates you from being like a beginner dieter to being advanced and being able to actually enjoy your life while also staying lean. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is kind of a red flag in terms of your dieting process, is if you always feel like you're starving and you're thinking about food all the time, and technically you're still in a deficit, you're still losing weight, but it feels really difficult and you can't really go lower in calories because you're going to lose your mind. Like, at this point your hormones are probably crashing, all this negative stuff. If you feel like this and you're not utilizing the other side of the equation, which is calorie expenditure, then you're doing yourself a huge disservice. So obviously you can take your calorie deficit from your calories, so just reducing the amount of food you're eating. But again, there's the other side of the equation where you can increase your calorie expenditure. So doing things like cardio, playing sports, anything like just doing more steps throughout the day. You need to be trying to do this because if you have average genetics like I do, a lot of us are sedentary throughout the day. I work an office job. I don't get a lot of steps throughout the day. So if I were to do nothing on top of just working out and trying to be in a deficit, I would struggle because I'm barely burning anything throughout the day. So I have to eat like barely any calories in order to stay in a deficit. But as soon as I started integrating daily cardio into my workout routine, as well as trying to do sports, trying to walk more, all these things add up long term, and you're going to be able to eat a little bit more and still be in a deficit. And it's going to really help you with cravings and being hungry all the time. Your diet shouldn't be super difficult. You should be able to kind of sustain it, at least in the medium term, because once you go back into maintenance after your diet, obviously it'll be a bit easier. But if it's feeling impossible in your cut, then how do you think you're going to be able to maintain it when you go back up a little bit? It's not going to be enough to make you feel like you're comfortable there. And this is why being able to master your new body weight and be at maintenance long term is so important. And the way you're going to be able to maintain that lower body weight is to actually increase your calorie expenditure. And us as humans are not supposed to be sedentary. We should be moving as much as possible. So it's not meant to be easy to be in a calorie deficit if you're just sitting on your ass all day doing nothing. You need to try your best to get out of the house, get busy, do something. I even consider going to the club and dancing a form of cardio because I like going to festivals and raves, and I can get upwards of like 20,000 steps a day just dancing. And there's no doubt that's burning a bunch of calories. So there's a lot of different forms of cardio you can do. Find the one that you actually enjoy doing and stick to it. Start small and slowly go up over time. That's how I did it. I integrated cardio 5 minutes a day in my routine. And as I got better at it and as it felt easier, I just went up and up and up. And now I do around 20 minutes. And I also do kickboxing on the side. So these are things that really help me. If I don't do that stuff, I have to drop my calories more and I'm going to be hating my life the entire time. So again, just listen to my advice. If you are an average person and you're trying to cut, and in order to be in a deficit, you need to reduce your calories a lot and it feels difficult, please, please, please just try to integrate cardio into your routine. I know everyone hates on cardio, but it's so helpful. Like I've noticed so much improvement just by adding cardio. And I used to be a person that hated cardio so much. So again, you can just listen to my advice or you can actually try it for yourself and you'll see for yourself that it actually helps. So I hope these tips help you get lean for the first time, even if you failed over and over again. I know it's a difficult process, especially if you tried over and over again and haven't gotten the results you wanted. And that's exactly why I made you guys my free shred maxing protocol. Again, it's the first thing in the description. It's completely free and it's a no-brainer if you want some free value. Thanks for watching.